Well, what if I told you that the world's largest two countries will be India and Nigeria? And what if I told you that China is expected to contract by almost half? Well, these are some of the predictions we're going to discuss in this post. This is the 71st edition of your top 5 data AI and analytics post of the week, where I give you the rundown on the week's most popular posts. I filter for you what's hot and what's not in the world of data. And as always, remember that you can click on the link down below to get access to my blog, and all these references and links nicely packaged in a deck that you can download for free and share with your friends so you can make yourself and make them look great. As always, don't hesitate. If you feel that I missed anything, tag me, comment, make sure to share with your friends as well, so we can use this great community to learn from each other. Now, these predictions, let's get them out the way, because you're probably wondering what's the deal with India and what's the deal with Nigeria and China. Well, this is referring to one of my favorite sites, thevisualcapitalist.com. It's a site that I go to every week to get inspiration on new insights and new great charts. And this week I came across their population prediction for 2100. And it turns out that by then it's been projected that 4 out of the 10 most populated countries in the world, four of them will actually be in Africa. Now, check out the post, read about the blog. You can subscribe to it as well. I won't be there to verify that information actually is accurate, but there's a lot to it, and take a look at it if you want to know why. Now, over to more realistic and more immediate predictions, what's going to happen over the next year. Now, you might have heard or read about the term acceleration, and this refers to the acceleration of digitalization, the fact that this year's crisis has accelerated the process of digitalization for many organizations. So we read in Wall Street Journal this week that Etsy had completed their planned 2 years migration in less than a month this past year. And so I'm sure you've heard a lot of reporting about similar stories of organizations. And if you're in the field of digitalization and cloud and innovation, well, this Wall Street Journal story has some good news for you. It looks at global IT spending, as quoted by Gartner, is predicted to reach $3.7 trillion next year, and that's about 4.3% more than in 2020. But now if you double click on that fact, and if you use magazines like The Economist here, this is one of my favorite magazines, I'll tell you why in a minute here, The World in 2021, you actually read that growth is in fact 3% less than it was in pre-COVID. So some great news, but also some great perspective to think about when you look at predictions. And in fact, that's why I'm holding this magazine here, The World in 2021. I have been a big fan of The Economist for many years, and you can see every year they come out with these magazines here. This is the one in 2018. I bought it in 2017, but it predicts what's happening the year after it. And then, of course, I've got 2019 here. And then every year I look forward to this kind of graphic that they have. And it looks at, what to expect next year. They drill into tech and business and global economy. And this year I was actually kind of surprised they don't have such a graphic. Instead, what they have, which I think is pretty clever, they have a table of what we should expect next year, but peppered throughout the magazine, they've got these predictions of what's going to happen, and they've got this new section here called What If. And what if, for instance, this year, because of all the lunar and Mars explorations we're going to talk about here, what if aliens turned out to in fact exist on Earth? And so take a look at this magazine. If you have some time this coming week here, some break this coming week, I really advise to take the time to take a look at it. I know you're a busy individual, so if you don't have time to do this, I'm at least going to give you the cliff notes. So what is The Economist expecting is going to happen in 2021? Well, first, you're going to expect a lot of sports. In June, hopefully, we'll get the UEFA Cup, UEFA Euro Cup 2020. It's not been renamed, and if you're a soccer fan, you'll look forward to that one. That same month, we'll have Copa America, and so that's going to be pretty busy for the soccer fans out there. And then in July, the UEFA Women's Euro Cup will occur, as well as the Olympics, hopefully. And so June and July will be fairly busy if you're into sports. And as I started to explain, the US, China, Russia, and India all have space programs you hear a lot about. In fact, I think there's 3 Mars probes just in February. So a lot is going to happen next year when it comes to space, anniversaries, and sports. Take a look at this magazine. Hopefully you'll get some inspirations for what to think about. If you don't have time for the magazine, The Economist published a 20-minute video of their view of next year, and it's a video that I think is very well worth the watch. And as always, if you don't have time to even do that, well, you can head on to my blog and you'll get a breakdown of the chapters, the key topics, as well as the sections. The video is available on YouTube. Highly advise you take a look at it. Now, as you know, I'm a big fan of members of the community, and this update would not be complete if I at least didn't call out some of the exceptional members of the community that have really shared great content and engaged this week. The first one is Scott Taylor. He is known as the data whisperer in the industry, and his book, Tell Your Data Story, got published this past week. It's a guide on how to explain and understand the strategic value of data management. I know how hard it is to write books. I've published 2 books myself. And finally, when you receive them and then unbox them, it's really a unique feeling. And so congratulations, Scott, for doing that. And I hope many people will read it and give you feedback on it. And then the second member of the community is Krishna. He's the former chief data officer from Bristol Myers Squibb. You've heard me talk about him before, and if you don't follow Krishna yet, I would highly advise that you do follow him moving forward. He always shares some great predictions and great articles. And this week, he shared some of the best consumer predictions I've read in a while. It's an article I think is published by Ericsson, and there's 10 of them in there. But there's at least 3 I want to tell you about, because I think they are bound to materialize over the next 10 years. This prediction piece he sent is about the next 10 years. And so the first one is this idea of brain as the interface. Now, Elon Musk has made a big deal about his startup on working on that, but I think this one is pretty clear that controlling events through our thoughts is something that a lot of folks are working on and is very likely to actually occur over the next 10 years. In fact, Krishna points to the survey in this Ericsson top predictions and says 59% of people surveyed believe they will be able to map routes on VR glasses by simply thinking about the destination. So that's the first one, the brain as the user interface. The second and the third one are related to how we connect with things on a digital form. And it talks about digital aroma and something else called total touch. So, you can see images on your phone and you can hear movies and you can hear me in this video, of course. But why is it that we can't smell these things? And why is it that we can't feel the texture of these images that we're seeing? And so I really think this is a trend that's going to materialize. In fact, people believe so as well. Overwhelmingly, 60% of those surveyed believe it will happen over the next 10 years. So there are more of these predictions in Krishna's piece. I encourage you to follow him and read from him. There's another 7 in this blog. Take a look at them, and I hope that this week you'll take a minute or 2 to listen to this. Maybe if you've got more time to read the world in 2021, watch the video and let me know. What do you think is going to happen next year? What do you think is going to happen next 10 years? What do you think is going to happen in the next 100 years? Let's engage with the community as usual. All the links and resources I'm referring to here will be available to you in the blog and the slide deck made available to you. Stay engaged. Have a great week. Be data driven. And then I will see you next week.